Welcome to Quarterly Updates, what you should review in Taleo Enterprise. Let's get started. I'm going to review with you the steps that you can take on a quarterly basis in keeping your Taleo Enterprise up to date. I'm going to do this review in Internet Explorer as some of the configurations we're not able to do in Chrome. So let's get started. One of the first items that you want to review on a quarterly basis is network data. These are the lists when a candidate fills out their job submission, and it is the employers, institution, programs, and certifications. These lists are updated by Oracle on a regular basis, but they go into the system as inactive. So it's a good habit to come into the network data and be able to go in and check. So I'm going to go into institution just to display it. And you can see that I am able to focus on status here. So I'm just going to take a look to see. I don't have any that are inactive. So let me just take a look at programs. And you can see there are some that are inactive. So the way that you activate, there's some choices. You can activate all. If you want to select the individual ones, you can do that as well. So you would be able to activate it individually. For me, I want to activate all of them. I want to have the candidate be able to access any of the list. So I'm going to do an activate all. You're going to get just a warning to say, do you really want to activate all? You're going to say yes. And after you're done, you want to synchronize. So when you synchronize, you will receive an email just confirming that the synchronization was successful. So you would go ahead and you would do the same exercise for each of the network data. So configuration, SmartOrg, network data. The next thing that we're going to look at is the sources. So when you have your sources, you may need to go in and take a look to see if there's any sources that are not applicable anymore. So as an example, if I go to career fair, I may have an Acuity fair and this may not be valid anymore. It may have already happened. So I would go into the details and I would do a delete. You will get a pop-up message basically saying that it cannot be deleted, but do you want to make it a source inactive? And I can say yes, and then that way my career fair that is no longer applicable will not be displayed to any candidates. So you can do this. It's an easy way to be able to just go use your source type, and you can do by type, and then your list would be smaller to be able to take a look at which ones are they still valid or do I need to make an update. The next thing that you want to take a look at is your selection list. So there are two types of your custom. There's a small selection and the large. I'm going to start with the large selection. There are many times that this might be an integration. And if that's the case, then you would probably have this exercise done for you. But there could be some situations where you may need to take a look and see if there's any of your selection values in your LEDs that is active but should be inactive. So you can see when I look at it, there are some that are not active. If there was a department in this example, a department that I'm using as in a selection list, I can go into this and I would just click inactive, click done, and then that value would no longer be available for selection. You can also take a look at your selection list from a small custom. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click my custom tab, and it's a little bit different, but as soon as I click into the details, I may have a value here that I need to I either need to add one or I need to remove one. So if I needed to remove one, I would just select it and I would remove it, and then I can add it back if needed, or create a new one. I'm going to take a look at department lists, and this is the same thing as well. It's very possible that you may have an integration for departments, but there are many people that are managing it manually. So it's a good idea to kind of go in, take a look at it to see, are all my departments there? Are there departments that needs to be deactivated? So just kind of, taking a look at it from that perspective. If I need to deactivate one, I would just go into the details of my department, and you scroll to the bottom and there's an activation section, and you would just kind of click the radio button of inactive, click done, and you still have that information. It's just that it's not active in your list anymore. The next one that we're going to take a look at is agencies. So very common in agencies, you may have some that are closing from an agency perspective, or an agent within the agency that is no longer with the agency any longer. So good idea to take a look at, from a agency perspective, do I have the main contact? Is it still valid? Email correct? And if I go to my next tab under agents, are these all valid? And if there's someone that needs to be removed, then you may be able to just select them. You would click the garbage can. If the person does not have any assignees from candidate's perspective, you will just get a message basically asking you, are you sure? So you can say yes, and the agent would be gone. If there is candidates that are assigned, you will get a message of transferring before the deletion. So this exercise, there might be some information that you need to discuss with the agency itself when you do the cleanup. So might be able to just kind of create a report for them, send them out, and kind of ask them some of the information in order for you to be able to fill it out. The next part that we're going to look at is candidate search page. So this is the place where you create candidate user-defined fields. And if you make them searchable, you do need to come to this search page content to add them into the advanced search page. So you have all of your available fields, your selected fields. I'm going to back up a little bit because one of the important things to understand is what variations are you using. So you can see there are 3 different possible variations, and those are driven by the configuration profile. So if I go into my configuration profiles, I'm going to take a look at 2. I'm going to look at the recruiter standard, and I'm going to use keywords, and I'm going to use search as my keyword. And for my variation, my advanced search, I'm using variation 1. I'm going to go back. I want to take a look at a manager, so the different configuration profiles that we're using. And I'm using variation 1. So this could be a different variation. If it's a different variation, when you're doing your updates, you need to remember to do it for each one. So in mine, I am going to go back and I am going to use my variation 1. I can use my groups, makes it a little bit easier to just kind of see the different one. As I'm scrolling down, I can kind of take a look to see what are some of the fields that are not in my selected that I may want to have displayable to be used in a search. So I'm just going to enter one of them. So I would just add it, and I can also move by using these arrows into different sections. So take a look at the basic profile, and then I can just continue on to be able to kind of see if there's any fields in my various components of my candidates that I would like to be able to add. So maybe I want to be able to search on different questions. So those are a few that I'm going to add in. I'm going to click Save. And I will bring my Chrome here. So as you can see, I did not have questionnaire before, but those are now added in. Anything that I've added will kind of come into the sections of the filters that I've used. And those are a few of the items that you can do on a quarterly basis to help you keep the maintenance of your zone up to date. Thanks.